Drew, it's me again, your friendly neighborhood common reader author, Kelsey Timmerman. So I hope you all had a great summer. I hope you enjoyed the book. I've interacted with some of you through Facebook and Twitter, which has been fun. I've been enjoying answering your questions and seeing your comments on the book. And I'm excited for you all to lead the incoming freshmen in discussion about the book. So today I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that some of the takeaways I see from the book, some of the things, give you some pointers and some tips of things that you could discuss with the freshmen. So, I mean, make it whatever you want it to be. You don't have to use what I'm telling you. But I find some things that I would like freshmen to walk away with and to consider. One of those, the first one would be that the world isn't black and white. You know, that so many of the people that read Where Am I Wearing, some people think I'm an anti-sweatshop activist. Some people think that I believe that free trade and global capitalism and globalization will spread, peace and cheeseburgers around the world, and we should have more sweatshops, not less sweatshops. So it doesn't matter what I think, and that's a really important thing. It doesn't really matter what I think. It doesn't really matter what you think. It matters what each person who reads that book, what every freshman thinks, and how they can relate to those experiences. So in your discussion, I think it's really important to talk about that, to talk about how complex the world is, and that as we all dive deeper into academia and in our studies, you start to see some of this, and it's an oversimplistic view of the world to believe that it's just good and bad and black and white. So I'm not quite sure what question to ask to get to some of that, but that's really important thing for freshmen to realize going into their academic careers, that there aren't always easy answers to things. And then number two, if you can relate some of these experiences of globalization back to the lives of the students, the lives of the freshmen, into your own life too. Share some of those experiences, what you've seen in your hometown, what globalization has done, how your family and how your hometown has benefited or maybe suffered the impact of globalization, or factories coming or factories closing, and relate that in your discussion. Let me see, I have some other notes here. Another thing is, I mentioned this in the first time I talked to you all, was that traveling around the country, showing up by yourself, is a lot like being a freshman. So there's a lot of insecurities that I have when I travel to this very day, even though I've been to, I don't even know how many countries I've been to, maybe more than 70, I'm not exactly sure. But still to this day, when I show up at a country, even a country I've been to before, it can be a really awkward experience. So to talk about some of those experiences and some of those feelings, how you don't know anyone around you, and relate that to the book. How do you think Kelsey felt in this country, and try to relate that back to maybe how some of the freshmen are feeling. I think that can be very applicable to what they're going through right now as well. Let's see here. Also, citizenship. I really think one of the key points of this book is for us all to consider where we fit in. Where we fit in this global economy, as global citizens, as local citizens, as glocals, as citizens of the University of Kentucky as well, and what our responsibilities are. So I think a really great conversation would be, what are our responsibilities as local citizens, as global citizens, and how do we define that? And what are our responsibilities at the University of Kentucky? Like, what kind of clubs should we get involved in? How do we get involved in clubs? And maybe share some of your experiences as well of how you found kind of where you fit in the University of Kentucky, and how you give back. Because really, as I write in the book, I never had more free time than when I was in school, because I wasn't as engaged as I wish I would have been. I had more time to give, more time to volunteer, things that I do now that I have way less time to give back, but I give more of it. I really wish I could go back to school and do a redo of one of those. Also asked to do your QLC assignment. So it was kind of weird quoting your own book. I didn't have a copy, so I have an office in this office building, and so I was going around asking people if they had copies of my book, and finally I found someone that did. And like, what do you need it for? It's like, well, I actually have to look through my own book and find a favorite quote. So my favorite quote actually is maybe something that some of you landed on. It's not something that I said. It was something that was said to me by B.B. Russell, and she said, "Beauty lies in poverty," which I think is a really important life lesson. So that we'll get into our L as well. And that we don't have it right. We don't have everything figured out. Just because we were born where we were born and have the opportunities that we have doesn't mean we know what's right for everyone else. Doesn't mean that we're living the right lifestyle. Doesn't really mean that we know what is of value in our world and what is not. And in all my travels, whether it's for where am I wearing or my new book, where am I eating, and travels outside of those research projects as well, meeting people who have less than I do, but often have more. Have more in the sense of relationships and family and ties with their neighbors and just a sense of community. That has really made me look at my life and how I've definitely changed the way I've gotten involved in the community. Beauty lies in poverty, and that might seem counterintuitive to a lot of people, but when you take away all of the things that make us up as the world's greatest consumers, what is left? And that's often what I find and what really speaks to me when I go to places like Colombia or Bangladesh. The lessons that I walk away from, how other people live lives and are very happy and healthy lives, even though they might not have a lot of things. So next up, I'm trying to think. We got the QLC. I guess next up is I am going to visit campus on October 15th, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to meet all of you, to sign some books, to hear your thoughts on what you've read, what the freshmen shared with you, discussions that you all are having. One of the really cool things about doing this experience, like going into a first year experience where a couple thousand people have read your book, is getting all those different perspectives. So when my book first came out, I think I had lived about 66% of the journey. Then it was going around to different campuses and meeting students and meeting people who've read the book and getting their perspective, and that really kind of showed me and really rounded out what this experience was and what it meant to other people. And as an author, you kind of have to let go of what you think that experience meant, then give it to the reader. And that's really something that I hope that you work on with the freshmen and your discussions, that it isn't so much what I think and isn't so much what you think, it's what the freshmen, what the freshmen, each individual freshman thinks, and how we are going to live our lives after having read this. If we're going to let this work impact our lives, impact our shopping decisions, impact our decisions as citizens, and anyhow, I'll leave it at that. So I look forward to seeing everybody on October 15th, and have a good one. Enjoy your discussions. Hey K Crew, here it is, the end of the video, and I know what you're thinking. I changed clothes. Actually, I went to work out, and while I was working out, I realized that I forgot to put the C in the QLC. So who was my favorite character? It's probably no surprise that my favorite character was Amilcar, who I first met in Honduras, who now lives in California, and we're now good Facebook buddies thanks to Google Translate. So seeing pictures of Amilcar with him and his new family and his meeting him in California was, as I wrote about in the book, he was heartbroken at his family back in Honduras and about their situation. And actually, when I was in California meeting up with him, that Adele song "Someone Like You" was really popular at that moment. And the beginning of that song, if you listen to it, is just like I just heard it the other day, and I thought about Amilcar and his situation. So meeting him has definitely changed so many things about my life, because it sent me on this journey that that forever changed the way I am a shopper, the way I'm a local and global citizen, the way that I'm a local. So if it weren't for him, none of us would be sitting here right now watching a video of a semi-sweaty guy post-workout talking about meeting some dude in Honduras. So he was definitely my favorite character. So I hope that clears it up. And I bet some of you were like, he didn't say C. Well, I did say C. So I'll see you October 15th. Later.